Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So I'm just going to give you a bit more additional information in regards to David De Gea, and there's lots of other things to talk about as usual. So now according to The Guardian, and I think according to the Daily Mail, it does now say that David De Gea is close to signing a new long-term contract with Manchester United. It reportedly says in The Guardian, I think, or is it the Daily Mail, he has agreed a deal worth up to £290,000 a week. So obviously that means he's going to earn the same basic wage as Paul Pogba, because obviously Paul Pogba is on around 290 grand a week. Obviously we do know that David De Gea on his current contract term at the moment, I think he's on around 200 grand a week, so he will get around a £90,000 pay rise. But we do know that David De Gea's current contract expires at the end of this season. But there has actually been a change of scenery, because recent reports actually came out not too long ago saying that David De Gea was on the verge of rejecting a contract offer from Manchester United, rejecting a contract offer from Manchester United, and it reportedly said, we're at risk of losing David De Gea on a free transfer, and it reportedly said that David De Gea, told his friend, he will snub any offer from Manchester United. But we do know for the majority this summer and earlier on in the summer, David De Gea was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. At one point, it was looking very imminent. He was going to be leaving the football club, but then actually, at the start of pre-season, there was a change of scenery, because it actually said that David De Gea, was close to signing a new contract with Manchester United. It actually said throughout pre-season that David De Gea had agreed a deal in principle regarding the new contract, but it did say, he has not yet, put a pen to paper. But it did say David De Gea was set to sign a 6-year contract with the football club, worth up to around 375 grand a week. And it did initially say that the contract, would have been announced after we returned from pre-season, but obviously, that didn't currently materialise. But according to The Guardian anyway, they said now, he's closer to signing a new contract with Manchester United. Obviously, we do know at full value, we value him at around £100 million, but I did say, won't get £100 million for David De Gea, because obviously he's got under a year left on his contract. But obviously throughout the course of the summer, PSG, were regarded as the favourites, to get David De Gea. And they were regarded as the favourites. We do know that Real Madrid have been long admirers of David De Gea. Obviously, reflecting back in 2015, Real Madrid were on the brink of getting him, but due to the fax machine, he's moved to Real Madrid, never materialised. And I think also Juventus had inquired about getting him in earlier on in the summer. I think recent reports have said, that Juventus have gone in for David De Gea. But it's very imperative anyway, that we do keep him at the football club, because David De Gea, is still regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Obviously, De Gea's been a long servant at Manchester United. He's been at the club 8 years. He's been here since the Alex Ferguson era. He's now into his 9th season at Manchester United. But I do believe that David De Gea's had 7.5 good years at Manchester United out of the 8 years he has been here. I know David De Gea was David De Gea made costly mistakes towards the back end of last season, but I do believe, that was mainly to do with a contactual situation. Obviously made a mistake early on in the season that you could say that cost us all 3 points in the game against Crystal Palace. But I think prior to that, he's been very, very good, and I do admire his career. Obviously David De Gea is 28. He's 28 years of age, so you can still say, he has got a lot of development minimum in that. But yeah, the good news is now reportedly, he's on the verge of signing a new contract. David De Gea, has made over 300 odd appearances for the club in all competitions. Obviously, he has won everything domestically, and obviously he's won the club's player of the year 4 times out of the last 6 years, reflecting on his impressive performances. But now reportedly, according to The Guardian, he's going to be signing a new long-term contract at Manchester United and that, so he will be remaining at the football club. But I did initially say, if we couldn't get him a new contract and that, I think, we'd rather cash in for him in January, rather than letting go on a free transfer next summer. But I said if we're not competing for the top 4 by January, David De Gea, will want out the football club anywhere. But if David De Gea, is to leave the football club, I did say, we are going to need a replacement for David De Gea. Obviously, we've got a couple of goalkeepers on our agenda, who could replace him at the football club. Obviously, Jan Blanc, we've identified him as our number one target to replace David De Gea if he is to leave. Obviously, don't forget, throughout the course of the summer, was in for Jan Blanc from Atletico Madrid. And Jan Blanc, is regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I thought his performances for Atletico Madrid were very, very good last season. I think now he's into his sixth season at Atletico Madrid, is Jan Blanc. I think it was on last season that Liverpool's Alisson, kept as many clean sheets as Jan Blanc. Probably Jan Blanc would cost us a substantial amount. I think his buyout clause is around £100 million. I do believe he signed a new contract back in April, did Jan Blanc. Obviously hasn't ever, been in the Premier League as yet. I think he's around 26 or is it 27 years of age, so he's still got a lot of development in him. But reportedly, Man United instructed scouts, to keep a close eye out on Jan Blanc. It also said we showed an interest in Dominik Livatic from Dynamo Zagreb. He's another goalkeeper on our agenda. Don't forget, earlier on in the summer, we was in for Jordan Pickford and that. But if David De Gea leaves, we're definitely going to need a replacement for him, because obviously, we've got Sergio Romero. He's our second choice goalkeeper. Obviously, he isn't reliable enough, to become our number one goalkeeper, despite the fact his performances in the FA Cup games last season were very, very impressive. Romero's under contract with the football club until 2021, with an option to extend it by a further year. Obviously, Dean Henderson, he's gone back out on loan to Sheffield United, and I think in that aspect, that's a good business in the football club, sending Dean Henderson back out on loan, because obviously it will gain him more experience, because he's still very, very young. Of course, Lee Grant's injured, and Joel Pereira is out on loan with Hearts in Scotland, and Lee Grant's injured, like I said. So yeah, we're definitely going to need a goalkeeper, to replace De Gea if he leaves the football club without a shadow of a doubt. But, we've been in negotiations of trying to get David De Gea a new contract now for over a year, especially, we've been trying to, get him a new contract. It actually said at the start of pre-season, that the football club had breakthrough in negotiations with David De Gea's agent, George Mendes. But in large period, in them contract negotiations, for the time, we've been negotiating a new contract for him, for large periods of that, David De Gea, was basically, demanding around 350 grand a week to obviously sign a new long-term contract with Man United, and obviously for long periods of that, we was unwilling to meet his £350,000 a week wage demands. Reportedly, it said at the turn of the year, we'd offered him around 300 grand a week. Obviously, David De Gea, didn't, David De Gea turned this down because he wanted 350 grand a week, and obviously 350 grand a week, would obviously make him the highest paid goalkeeper in the world. But then it said at the start of pre-season, we finally come to terms and we decided, to meet his £350,000 a week wage demands. But according to the Guardian, they haven't mentioned the length of what contract he will be signing that, but it just said, he will be signing a new contract with around 290 grand a week. So whether this is true or not, I do not know. So that's the latest news in regards to David De Gea and that. But like I did say, I give you the update. Was it a day or two ago? In regards to the new director of football at Manchester United, because I did initially say anyway, that Manchester United, need a director of footballing. Obviously, we do know that the football club have been in search for a director of football now for over a year. Obviously, I think earlier on in the summer, the likes of Darren Fletcher, Rio Ferdinand, and Patrice Evra, were linked with the role at Manchester United, because actually Ed Woodward had spoken, to all of them, regarding roles and that at the football club. But obviously, for the majority of the summer, we was in search for a director of football. But obviously, we didn't manage to get one in, because I did say, we need a director of footballing, to obviously change. We need the structure, because I said, we need a structural change at the football club, and it's a shame that we didn't appoint a director of footballing early on in the summer, because I did say it would have been very imperative to appoint one in that, because I think I do believe if we'd have got one in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, probably would have been back to more. And for me, throughout the course of the summer, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer didn't get back to enough. Solskjaer recommended 3 good players to the squad, and that we spent over £140 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire, and we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far. So I'm happy in the assets that we addressed some of the problematic areas, but we didn't address all of the problematic areas. But I did say it was going to be extremely difficult for us, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window. Obviously, this has only been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first summer as Manchester United manager. But yeah, so I'm glad we got that experienced centre half, and I'm glad we got that right back in. But obviously, we didn't get that midfielder in that we wanted, because obviously that midfield area was one of the priority areas, of course, where Manchester United needed to strengthen up. So I have got a lot of element of concerns about that midfield. Don't forget, for the majority of the summer, we was in search for the right winner. So for me, there's definitely still further more investment needed in his squad. So maybe Man United do need to give Solskjaer more time, to rebuild the squad more. Obviously, I think he needs to give him time to invest more in January, maybe invest more perhaps next summer, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you can still quite frankly say is in the process of rebuilding, because the majority of this squad, of course, is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. But if we can get a director of footballing, I think that will be very, very beneficial in that. And reportedly now, like I updated you, Ed Woodward has identified Edwin van der Sar as his number one target, to become the director of football at Manchester United. And I think Ed Woodward is going on the experience in that, because obviously Edwin van der Sar has got that experience. Edwin van der Sar's obviously been chief executive at Ajax since 2016. He's been chief executive in that, so I think this is now his 4th season with Ajax. And I think Man United and Ed Woodward have been satisfied with the work that Edwin van der Sar has done at Ajax. I think he's good at developing young players in that, and I think he would be very reliable, Edwin van der Sar, to oversee our transfer business at Manchester United. And don't forget, anywhere Edwin van der Sar knows the culture of the football club, because don't forget, when Edwin van der Sar obviously played, obviously he served 6 years at Manchester United as a goalkeeper. Obviously won 4 Premier League titles with the football club. Won the League Cup with us. Won the Champions League and that with us and that. And I did initially say, we need to appoint someone who knows about the club, someone who of course has got the experience. And I believe that Edwin van der Sar is definitely the right solution. But I think he would come to Manchester United. But we've definitely got to get a director of football in. But there was a lot of names, linked with a role, throughout the course of summer. There wasn't only talks of Darren Fletcher, Ferdinand Nevra. There was also talks about, Paul Mitchell, coming into the football club, because obviously Paul Mitchell's born and bred in Manchester. Paul Mitchell, is obviously head of recruitment now at RP Leipzig. He used to be head of recruitment at Tottenham. He used to be head of recruitment at Southampton, where he actually, worked alongside Mauricio Pochettino. But looking likely now, it's going to be Edwin van der Sar and that. But yeah, I think he would be fantastic for Manchester United. But Ed Woodward actually oversee our transfer business throughout the course of the summer, because obviously we didn't manage to get a director of football in. But if we can get one in, that will be very, very essential indeed. But for me, we've enjoyed a very, very difficult start to the season. Like I said, we've only won 1 game out of our first 4. We've only registered 5 points from a possible 12. So we've enjoyed a very, very difficult start to the season. And to be fair, we did really, really well throughout pre-season. We won 6 games out of 6. We scored 12 goals and only conceded 3 in that. And I did say at that point, I do believe Manchester United will have a better season this season. Then we got off to a remarkable start against Chelsea, winning comfortably by 4 goals to 0. Rashford getting a couple of goals, Pogba getting a couple of assists, Martial and Daniel James and that scoring in that game. And we got off to a remarkable start against Chelsea, but since then, it's just seemed to have all gone downhill. We dropped 2 points away to Wolves. We can say we played well in the first half in that game, but we was poor in the second half. Obviously we dropped all 3 points at home to Crystal Palace. Probably the blame stems from David De Gea with the mistake he made at the end. But he's not only, you can't only blame David De Gea in that particular game. We had a lot of chance in that Crystal Palace game. We had over 20 odd shots. We had the majority of the possession, but we only managed to score 1 goal. And obviously, we dropped 2 points against Southampton the other week. And like Gary Neville was recently, saying he was giving his overarching view on Manchester United. He believes that we are under the right track under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He believes that the style of play and that's right. But he just just believe, we're not being clinical enough in front of goal. We don't seem to have that clinical element, and this justifies, why we're not scoring enough goals. We've only managed 7 goals so far this season. We've already conceded 4 goals so far this season, but we're not scoring enough goals. And what I've seen so far this season is replicating what I saw last season. Because last season, we didn't score enough goals. We might have created chances, but we didn't score enough goals and wasn't clinical enough in front of goal. Don't forget, we only managed 53 goals in the Premier League last season. And so far, this season is replicating, what I saw last season. But I think if we do continue with this bad run of form, I think we could probably enjoy a worse season this season, of course, than what we saw last season. Because last season there was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th actually. We finished 32 points behind Manchester City. We failed to qualify for the Champions League. We've actually failed to qualify for the Champions League 3 times out of the 6 seasons since Alex Ferguson's retirement. But I did say with our failure to qualify for the Champions League, that obviously went against us in the summer transfer when of getting all the players that we did want to recommend in, because I did say certain players at a certain calibre and level would have had reservations about joining the football club with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. But I do believe the players we was in for throughout the course of the summer, I probably believe we will reignite our interest in them in January. The players we was in for throughout the course of the summer. With Bruno Fernandes, we could maybe go back in for him. I know recent reports said he was on the verge of joining Real Madrid, but I think there was talks that he could be signing a new long-term contract with Sporting Lisbon. But I think he possibly could be still set to leave Sporting Lisbon in January. But we had our opportunity, with Bruno Fernandes. We was basically in for him for the entirety of the summer. We identified him as our number 1 priority target, and I would have been excited about the prospect, of Bruno Fernandes playing alongside Paul Pogba in our midfield, because I do believe they would have complemented each other fantastically well. So it's a shame that we didn't get Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, Jadon Sancho, I think we'll probably go back in for him next summer. I think he's set to remain at Borussia Dortmund at least for this season. Then I think he did say, he's set to leave next summer. I did say our move got screwed for Jadon Sancho, obviously, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. We do know Jadon Sancho is predominantly a right winner. So like I did initially say, I would have been excited about the prospect of Jadon Sancho, playing alongside the likes of Martial, Rashford, Daniel James, and I think he would have blended in our attacking line fantastically well. Obviously, back in January, we identified Jadon Sancho as our number 1 priority target. Obviously, we do know that Jadon Sancho is going to cost us a substantial amount. He's going to cost us in the excess of around £100 million to get him next summer. And obviously, we've got to qualify for the Champions League this season to obviously get a better chance of landing Jadon Sancho next summer. But like I did say, £100 million, we have got the financial power, to meet that valuation, because obviously, we've got a history of spending a big on players anywhere. We're also known for overpaying for players. We've also got players on big contracts and that, but we can do that because we're a massive club. We have got massive revenues. But the problem is, we overpay for players, and then when it comes to getting rid of players, we seem to, let them go for next to nothing. So in that aspect, that's bad business for Manchester United. But with Jadon Sancho, he's only 19 years of age. I think he's had 2 good seasons with Borussia Dortmund, and he's now into his 3rd season as a Borussia Dortmund player. I think he's got just over 2 years left on his contract with Dortmund, so I think he's under contract with them until 2022. I think he can also play centric in Jadon Sancho, but he's actually, primarily a winner. But he's also, British as well. He's Jadon Sancho. I'd obviously, what I said to you, what will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's next signings be? And I do presume, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will want to continue getting the pursuit of young upcoming players, because Solskjaer worked out his transfer strategy early on this summer, and he did say he wanted to recommend a number of young upcoming players to the squad. So possibly Jadon Sancho, could be his next signing. We may even go for him in January, but I think it's more likely, we'll have more chance of getting him next summer, because Jadon Sancho wants to stay with Borussia Dortmund at least for this season. Obviously, the more beneficial thing is as well about Jadon Sancho, he's had experience with playing in the Premier League. Don't forget, before he went to Dortmund, he served a couple of years with Manchester City, but Jadon Sancho never really got the opportunity as a Manchester City player. He never got assured regular first team football and that, and this is the main factor reason why he left Manchester City. But Borussia Dortmund paid around was it around £7 or £8 million for his services. So I think if Borussia Dortmund could cash in £100 million him next summer, they would make a huge profit on the player. But don't forget Borussia Dortmund, have lost quite a few of their imperative players in recent years. Obviously they lost Aubameyang to Arsenal for around 56 million. They lost Christian Pulisic to Chelsea for around 47 million, and they also lost Ousmane Dembele a couple of years ago to Barcelona. So in recent years, Borussia Dortmund lost their imperative players in that. Don't forget in the window as well, we inquired about getting Paulo Dybala. He was another player Man United went in for, but he didn't come to Man United. Possibly we could reignite our interest in him in January. Don't forget, we did go in for Mandzukic towards the back end of the window. Despite the fact that, Mandzukic has got a good playing career, I think the board had reservations about recommending him anywhere. Because obviously, reflecting on his age, because I think like Mandzukic now is 33 years of age. But we identified Dybala and Mandzukic as obviously possible replacements for Romelu Lukaku anywhere. But for me, definitely further more investment is needed in the squad. But I think the board did confirm at the start of this season, that they confirmed that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be back tomorrow in the January window or perhaps next summer. But the board did confirm, regardless of what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, should be safe. Because I think, the board realised, that they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough. Because the board throughout the course of summer, did absolutely sure that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, would have been backed, but obviously he wasn't backed enough. And like I did say anyway, I don't like the way the football club has been run in the last 6 or 7 years. But like I did say, I said at the start of the season, our expectations this season, will be to finish in that top 4 and maybe perhaps win the Europa League or something like that. And obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations to obviously remain in the job at Manchester United. And our aspirations will be that top 4 in the next couple of seasons anyway, because obviously we're quite frankly not good enough to win the league yet. I don't think we'll win the league for at least the next 2 to 3 years. I think analysing our squad at the moment, it's definitely good enough for a top 4 finish, but we've got to get Champions League football this season, and that's obviously the only way we can get into the Champions League is either finishing in the top 4 or of course winning the Europa League and that. And obviously with the dimension, the history of this football club, we should be up there competing and winning silverware and that. And we've got big ambitions for the future, and obviously these ambitions is to get Manchester, is obviously to get back to winning silverware. And this is obviously something that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would love to bring back to the football club. Solskjaer wants to bring that fear factor back to Manchester United, and a lot of people are doubting that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will bring that fear factor back to Manchester United, because obviously that fear factor hasn't been there since the Alex Ferguson era. But I do believe Man United will probably give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a bit more time and that. Sometimes managers do need time. Obviously reflecting back under the Alex Ferguson era, obviously we had 20 odd years of success under Alex Ferguson and that. And like I did initially say, regardless of our managers, no one's going to ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. We're never going to replicate, what we did under Alex Ferguson. That's something we've got to accept. But we just want to be back to being a competitive elite level football club. But obviously, when Alex Ferguson, first joined the football club back in 1985, 1986 from Aberdeen, don't forget, Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club. And obviously, the pressure mounted up on him. He was actually on the verge of getting the sack after that 4 years there with Ferguson, but he didn't get the sack. And then look what he went and achieved, Alex Ferguson. That, but we do know, obviously now at this day and age, the boards are a lot more ruthless, than there was, back in the 80s. That they're a lot more ruthless now. If you go on a 5 or 6, if you go on a 5 or 6, if you go 5 wins, if you go 5 games there without a win, or if you go 6 games there without a win in that, and you go on a bad run of form, then the pressure does mount up on your manager and that, and now that's just basically the way it is. That's just the way it is and all that. But I think, Gary Neville actually, believes that, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, can emulate into like what Jurgen Klopp. Because obviously, don't forget Jurgen Klopp, he's now obviously, been at Liverpool, now quite a few years. Don't forget he didn't win out in his first, few years with Liverpool, did Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, I think he won his first major honour with Liverpool last season. Liverpool, of course, won the Champions League. They've won 6 Champions Leagues now in Liverpool. But Liverpool are a really, really good side now. They invested well in the last couple of windows. Obviously, they didn't get anyone in summer, but in the last couple of windows, they did invest really, really well. But Liverpool's expectations is probably, to win the Premier League, because Liverpool have obviously never won the Premier League since it got founded in 92, 93. They haven't won it all in all, for 3 decades of Liverpool, but Liverpool have had a really, really good start to this season. And like I did initially say, we're nowhere near on the same level at the moment as the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City. I do believe they're at least a couple of years ahead of us, and I think it's going to be between Liverpool and Man City, to win the league this season. Obviously, it was between them two teams last season, but City just picked Liverpool to the title, and I think City obviously looking to match one of our achievements, obviously, because obviously we won 3 back-to-back titles back in 07, 08 and 09. Obviously, so far at the moment, City have won 2 back-to-back titles. So if City win the league this season, obviously they've won 3 back-to-back titles in that. But like I said, City have spent a lot of money. Obviously the majority of the money they've spent has obviously been under Pep Guardiola and that. But I probably favour Manchester City to win the league again this season. But it's going to be between Manchester City and Liverpool, because I think if I had to choose, I think City are more likely to win it than Liverpool, because obviously, based on the experience and that, I think, City are the favourites, because City have got that experience, Liverpool, haven't got that experience when it comes to, winning the Premier League and that. But, it's very imperative that we get, that we catch up with the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool. That's very, very imperative indeed. But don't forget, we do know that we have got a lot of young players in the squad now, and we've got a lot of players developing and trying to improve at Manchester United and that. Obviously, you've got Mason Greenwood and Chong, they're 2 young upcoming players in that. And I think, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he confirmed at the start of the season, that he assured that Mason Greenwood, will be given more first team opportunities this season. Obviously, so far this season, he has made 4 substitute appearances as Mason Greenwood. Obviously, he's not yet started a game from the start, and I did initially say in the game against Leicester after the international break, Mason Greenwood, has got to start against Leicester from the start, because I think Solskjaer has recently, become infuriated, with Rashford's recent performances. So I think now Solskjaer is considering giving Mason Greenwood more of a prominent role at Manchester United. But Mason Greenwood is only 17 years of age, but he did really, really well for the reserves last season. He did well for the under-18s, the under-19s and the under-21s. He scored 30 goals in 29 games, and I think he can replicate this of what he did last season in the first team. Mason Greenwood, he made his full debut for the football club against Cardiff at the end of last season, and he even though we lost the game, he was arguably my best player in that game was Mason Greenwood. So he definitely needs to get more opportunities. Obviously, in regards to Chong, reports said about him, he's in negotiations with the football club over a new contract. Is Chong reportedly he's in negotiations with the football club over a new contract. Obviously, Chong, wants to commit his long-term future in Manchester United, and he wants to remain loyal to the football club, because don't forget this summer, he had received loan offers, from PSV, his former club Feyenoord, but Chong had turned these loan offers down. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has told Chong, that he will get first team chances this season, but to gain them first team opportunities, he said basically, that Chong has got to work hard. Obviously, we do know that Chong is a right winner. He is only 19 years of age. Obviously, I think this is now his 4th season at the football club, all in all. He's been at the football club since 2016. He's only managed 4 first team appearances, since his arrival from Feyenoord back in 2016. But don't forget, Chong, broke into the first team last season. He made his Premier League debut against Southampton. He actually came on in that game. He made his Champions League debut against PSG. And he made his debut, his actual competitive debut in the FA Cup against Reading last season. So I think he's the long-term solution for Manchester United. He's Chong. He's definitely the long-term solution for Manchester United. Obviously, we've got other young players as well. We've got Angel Gomez and that in the team. I'm actually surprised, he wasn't involved in the game against Southampton, Angel Gomez, because obviously, he's another one of our midfield options. Despite the fact, that Ander Herrera left the football club and Marian Fellaini left the football club, we have still got quite a few midfielders in that. We've got Paul Pogba, who's obviously, We've got Paul Pogba, who's one of our midfielders, and obviously we do know the difference that Paul Pogba makes in that midfield. We've got Matic, obviously we've got McTominay, we've got Fred, we've got Pereira, we've got Jimmy Garner. I think we've got, like I just said, Angel Gomez. So we have still got quite a few midfielders in that. But Angel Gomez, he actually, should get given the chance against Leicester. Did initially say he was going to be a big part of the squad this season. Obviously we've got Alex Tuanzebe. He's another one of the young upcoming players. Obviously he's one of our centre backs and that. And despite the fact that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice centre backs are Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, I still believe Alex Tuanzebe, should get given his chances this season, because he did initially say he's going to be a big part of the squad this season. And I think, it was good that he went out on loan with Aston Villa last season, because obviously in that aspect it gained him more experience, and I think he did quite well on his loan spell with Aston Villa, and I do believe he can replicate this with Manchester United this season. Like I said, with Jimmy Garner, he should also, get given his opportunities. Jimmy Garner, I think, played, was it 1 or 2 games, throughout pre-season. So we have got a lot of young upcoming players in the squad. But I think, despite the fact, that we've enjoyed a difficult start to the season, I still think, some players have played quite well. Quite a lot of players have underperformed. But I think, Daniel James has had a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Already this season so far, he has netted 3 goals. Like I did say, there's still improvements and that needed in his game. Don't forget, Daniel James is more effective from that left-hand side, but we've actually, mainly started him on the right so far this season. But sometimes when he plays, he rotates, in different positions and that. But he's only 21 years of age, and he's taken a huge step in his career, coming all the way from the Championship, to the Premier League. And I think so far he's exceeded expectation levels, and I think, he will succeed as a Manchester United player. And, we got him for a reasonable figure, paid £15 million for Daniel James, with add-ons included, which did potentially rise up to around £18 million. So he's been fantastic. I think Wan Bissaka's also had a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. He's had a fantastic start to his Man United career as Wan Bissaka. Obviously I think he's replicating, now with Man United of what he did last season with Crystal Palace, because Wan Bissaka only made his senior debut back in February 2018. Obviously he's only 21 years of age. Wan Bissaka, obviously he's our first choice right back, but his distribution's good. He shows that ability to part from the back. He's good at making them runs on that right hand side, so he's very, very reliable. Obviously, we paid 45 million up front for him. I think there was 15 million add-ons, which did potentially rise up to around 60 million pounds. Harry Maguire, I think he's had a pretty decent start to his Man United career. I think he will get better than that. And I think, he's blended in our backline, alongside Victor Lindelof, fantastically well. Is Harry Maguire, he's more experienced, obviously, Harry Maguire, he's 26 years of age, but he's obviously, still in his prime. Man United obviously paid £80 million to him, so obviously Harry Maguire is the most expensive defender in the world. He's also the second most expensive signing at the football club, just behind Paul Pogba. Maybe we did overpay for Harry Maguire. Obviously we paid £5 million more than what Liverpool paid for Virgil van Dijk, because Liverpool paid £75 million for Virgil van Dijk. And Harry Maguire is not on the same level as Virgil van Dijk, or he's not even on the same level as Laporte. But I still say Harry Maguire is definitely in the top 4, top 5 category without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, we did overpay for him. But I did say in these markets at this day and age, you have got to basically overpay for players. But we paid a substantial amount for him, because obviously Leicester didn't really want to lose him. So this is why they was demanding a substantial amount for him basically. But we ended up just paying the £80 million for him and that. But he will succeed at Manchester United. I think Anthony Martial, he's had a fantastic start to this season as well for Man United. Obviously we do know that he's out with a thigh injury at the moment, is Anthony Martial. I think he should regain full fitness for the game against Leicester. Obviously it got confirmed at the start of the season that Anthony Martial has been given that number 9 shirt, so obviously we do know that Anthony Martial is playing more centrally this season, because Martial does seem to be more effective in that central position, as that got proven throughout pre-season. I think he scored a couple of goals so far this season. But Anthony Martial, I've set a target for him this season. I think, if he continues this good run of form, I think he should score from at least between 15 to 20 goals this season, provided, that he doesn't sustain any more injuries in that. But Martial's developing well. I still say, he hasn't quite, emulated to that level as yet. But obviously now Martial's into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, he scored 50 goals for the club in all competitions. He scored his 50th goal against Wolves earlier on in the season. Don't forget, the football club, the football club, give Martial a new long-term contract back in January, so he's under contract with the football club until 2024, and he's on a substantial amount. I think he's on around, what is it, 200 or over 200,000 pounds a week. Obviously, Martial so far this season, though, before he got this injury, he's basically replicating what he did in his debut season at the football club, because Martial was really good in his debut season with Manchester United. He scored 17 goals, scored on his Premier League debut against Liverpool. This was obviously back under the Louis van Gaal era. But Martial, I think, is quite reliable. He primarily plays out wide, does Martial, as he mainly has played so far during his Man United career. But now, obviously, he's playing more centrally, because that's where he seems to be more effective. And obviously, reflecting in the game against Southampton, obviously, Martial didn't play. Obviously, it was Marcus Rashford that full Martial's role in the 1-1 draw with Southampton. Rashford got a lot of criticism, reflecting on his bad performance against Southampton. He actually was playing in that central position. We know Rashford can play in that central position. He can also play out wide, just like Martial can. So obviously, they are comparable in that aspect. But like I said, we don't even know what Rashford's preferred position is, because Rashford looks so isolated in that central position. He looks so isolated, did Rashford. And, he just didn't latch onto any of them crosses basically. And he was very, very disappointed in that. But I still say, Rashford is a long-term solution for Manchester United. He's only, 21 years of age. But Rashford was inconsistent in the last couple of months of last season and all that. He was inconsistent in the last couple of months of last season, was Marcus Rashford, but I still said at that point he's the long-term solution for Man United. And, I think with Jesse Lingard, he's enjoyed a very, very bad start to the season, so also, his performances do need to improve. But there's quite a lot of players, that have been underperforming. But I did say I've got a lot of element of concerns about our midfield. The midfield is really, really concerning me a lot. And we haven't really got a backup to Paul Pogba. To be fair, I think that McTominay, has had a fantastic start as well to this season. So in that aspect, I will credit, Scott McTominay. I still don't know if he's a long-term solution for Man United. So in that aspect, I have, got an element of concerns. But McTominay, he's only very, very young. He has still got a lot of development in him. I think also McTominay did well towards the back end of last season. So far this season, he's replicating, what he did, throughout pre-season towards the back end of last season. So far this season, mainly McTominay has been playing alongside Paul Pogba in our midfield. With Fred, I think Solskjaer did say he expects to see better things from Fred this season. Fred hasn't performed to the same sort of level, as he did with Shakhtar Donetsk, because I thought he was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk, but he hasn't really replicated this at Manchester United. Fred, should get given his chances. I thought Fred did well, towards the back end of last season. Don't forget, Fred is on that list of one of our most expensive signs, because the football club paid just under £50 million for him last summer from Shakhtar Donetsk. To be fair, Fred never really got the opportunity under Jose Mourinho, let's be honest. But I still say that trio, Fred, Pereira or McTominay, they're much better solutions than Nemanja Matic. So any of them would have been my preferred options over Nemanja Matic, because Nemanja Matic is a very, very inconsistent player. I think this is now his third season at Manchester United. Matic, is too slow. He makes that midfield look totally imbalanced, and he isn't getting any younger. Matic, of course, he's aging up and that. So I think he's a player we need to consider getting rid of in January, or perhaps next summer. Is Nemanja Matic in that. So I've got a lot of concerns about our midfield. I've got a lot of concerns about our midfield. We do know that Manchester United have got quite a few injuries. We do know we've got quite a few injury problems in that. Obviously, as it confirmed quite recently, that Jesse Lingard, well, he hasn't got an injury, but Jesse Lingard, withdrew from the England squad, due to illness and that. So I think Jesse Lingard, will definitely be ready, for the game against Leicester. With Wan-Bissaka, like he updated you the other week, he had to withdraw from the England squad. So he had to withdraw from international duty, due to a back injury, that he had sustained down Wan-Bissaka. I did say I'm hopeful that the injury is not too severe, but there's a possibility, chance that Wan-Bissaka, could maybe not be fit enough, to play against Leicester, and that's very, very disappointing. But we do know that we have got backup options, we've got backup options, to Wan-Bissaka. We have got our backup options. You've got Ashley Young, that's one of the backups. You've got Diego Dalot, that's one of the backups. And Diego Dalot, don't forget, recently, been injured, but I think he did say he's set to regain full fitness for the game against Leicester. Is Diego Dalot. I think Diego Dalot, should get given these chances this season. I thought he was impressive towards the back end of last season. Diego Dalot, obviously reflecting back last season before Wan-Bissaka came in this summer, it was obviously Ashley Young that was our first choice right back. So he was the first choice right back last season. But quite a few times towards the back end of last season, Diego Dalot was playing on that right wing, because Diego Dalot can play as a right winger. He can actually play as a left back, but he's actually predominantly on right back. It's sort of comparable to Ashley Young, because Young his versatility, he's versatile as Ashley Young, but he's predominantly a right back, just basically like Diego Dalot. I do believe this should be Ashley Young's last season at Manchester United. I think he'll probably leave Manchester United at the end of the season, go somewhere else, or he'll probably retire from football basically. It's obviously reflecting on his age, because Young's now 34. I think he's 35 next year. Young's been a long-serving player at the football club. He's been here 8 years. This is now his 9th season as a Manchester United player. Don't forget, the club give him a new 1-year extension last season. But we have seen glimpses over the years of how good Young can be. I thought Young was very, very good when he was younger. I think when he was younger, he was initially a right winger, just like Wan-Bissaka was. Actually, Wan-Bissaka, when he was a lot younger, he was a right winger, but actually then got got rotated got rotated as a right back. Then the Dan Wan-Bissaka, as he obviously he was developing and that. But I don't know if he will be fully fit enough for the game against Leicester. Wan-Bissaka, more things will update about it. Luke Shaw, I think he's going to be a huge doubt for the Leicester game. I don't even think he's going to participate in that. Obviously, he's out with a hamstring injury. Is Luke Shaw. I didn't actually say that Luke Shaw could be out for up to a month and that. And Luke Shaw, he's a very reliable player. Obviously, he's our first choice left back. I think Luke Shaw now is into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. He has been here since the Louis van Gaal, and I think for analysing the majority of his career, I think he's done mainly well as Luke Shaw. He's had some rough patches during his Man United career. He had a rough patch under Jose Mourinho. He sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. But I also think he sustained quite a few injuries when he was a Southampton player. When he was younger. But Luke Shaw's a very reliable player, and we know the difference he makes on that left-hand side. And reflecting on his impressive performances last season, Luke Shaw won the double player of the season. So I think he's a huge doubt for the game against Leicester, but could be back for the game against Astana in the Europa League. Obviously, our next 3 league games are Leicester at home, West Ham away, and I think Arsenal at home. But in between them, we've got FC Astana in the Europa League and Rochdale in the Carabao Cup. Obviously, we do know that Fosu Mensah is a long-term absence. He's out with injury. Obviously, he returned to Man United early on this summer, because last season he was on loan with Fulham. Was Fosu Mensah. I think before that, he was on loan with Crystal Palace. Obviously, Eric Bailly is a long-term absence. We do know he's out with injury. He's out until I think the new year with a knee injury. And I think Eric Bailly's Manchester United career has been mainly affected. The amount of injuries he has sustained. And I think probably the club would be open selling Eric Bailly in January or next summer. If the right offer came in. I think we'd probably look to recoup at least the £30 million that we did pay for him from Villarreal back in 2016. Eric Bailly's now into his 4th season as a Manchester United player, and I think he's a very imperative player. And when he's fully fit, Eric Bailly holds his line well. He has got great potential. But I think, he's basically, out of favour now with the football club, reflecting on the amount of injuries he has sustained. He's been here since the Jose Mourinho era, but he is also, a long-term absence. Lee Grant, of course, is out there with injury. Like I did say, with regards to Paul Pogba, we do know that Paul Pogba is out, with an ankle injury. Obviously, it got confirmed the other week that Paul Pogba had to withdraw from the France squad after he sustained an ankle injury in the 1-1 draw with Southampton the other week. But I think Paul Pogba, should regain full fitness for the game against Leicester after the international break. So Paul Pogba, should be fine. And we do know that Paul Pogba is a very, very imperative player. And I'm glad that, we've convinced him to remain at the football club, at least for this season. Well, we do know he's at least at the football club at least until January. I still think Paul Pogba's plans for the future is to make a move to Real Madrid. But I'm glad we've kept him at the football club, especially with our failure to land a midfielder in throughout the course of the summer. Like I updated you yesterday, recent reports came out about Paul Pogba, and they basically said that reportedly Paul Pogba stayed at Manchester United because Adidas had intervened in his move to Real Madrid. So reportedly Adidas stopped him making the move to Real Madrid. So reportedly Adidas have reportedly played a big part in Paul Pogba, remaining in the football club. So Adidas wanted Paul Pogba to remain at Manchester United because obviously, they believe it's better for them commercially and that. But I still think Paul Pogba, will leave in January or next summer. Recent reports said that Ed Woodward had obviously, contacted Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, over the possibility of renewing Paul Pogba's contract at Manchester United. Now, we do know Paul Pogba's got 2 years left on his current deal at the football club with an option to extend it by a further year. And we do know that Paul Pogba's one of the highest paid players at Manchester United. Obviously, he's on 290 grand a week. So he's one of the highest paid players at the football club. He's also our most expensive signing. So obviously, we paid £89 million for him. We do know that Paul Pogba is also a World Cup winner. But I do believe if Paul Pogba, is to, commit his long-term future in Man United, and if he is to sign a new long-term contract, obviously Paul Pogba will demand a massive increase in his wages, and I think he'll probably demand to be the highest paid player at the football club. So an estimated guess, I think Pogba would probably demand in the region of around maybe 400, maybe even £500,000 a week, to sign a new contract with Manchester United. But from Real Madrid's perspective, if Paul Pogba is to renew his Manchester United contract, I think, they're going to go in for Christian Eriksen next summer instead. They're going to look to get Christian Eriksen on a free transfer because obviously Christian Eriksen, was on Real Madrid's agenda throughout the course of the summer, but Real Madrid's preference was Paul Pogba over Christian Eriksen. But Zinedine Zidane, will be infuriated, that he didn't, get Paul Pogba because obviously he identified Paul Pogba as his number one target in that. So in that aspect, he will be infuriated with Zinedine Zidane. But I think, I said the huge stumbling block of Paul Pogba leaving Man United this summer was obviously, reflecting on the substantial amount we put on him. We was adamant he wasn't for sale, but we did quote out that we wanted around £180 million for Paul Pogba, so he was demanding just over double than what we initially paid for him from Juventus back in 2016. Obviously Real Madrid anyway, they spent a substantial amount this summer. They spent around £300 million on 5 players. I think they did generate some of the money back, Real Madrid. I think they sold some players, so they got around £100 million of it back. But I still think, Paul Pogba does want to make the move to Real Madrid. He still wants to make the move to Real Madrid, there's Paul Pogba, without a shadow of a doubt. But I'm glad, we're convinced him to remain at the football club. Don't forget, earlier on in the summer, there was talks about him possibly, making a return back to Turin, because, Paul Pogba, did have 4 good years in Turin, with Juventus, and that hasn't really replicated this at Manchester United. But I think if he's to leave the club in January or next summer, he will definitely, make a move to Real Madrid, because Paul Pogba did classify Real Madrid as one of the biggest clubs in the world. He also said at some point in his career, he does want to play for Real Madrid. We have seen glimpses of how good, Paul Pogba can be at Manchester United, and so far this season, he started all 4 games in the league. I think he's performed okay. I think his performance was a bit below par against Southampton. Paul Pogba hasn't performed to the same sort of extent as how, Martial and Daniel James and all that's performed, and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire, but I still think he has done okay. Obviously, Paul Pogba was subjected to online racial abuse early on in the season following his penalty miss against Wolves, and I'll credit Paul Pogba in that aspect. I think he handled the situation quite well. Don't forget though, Rashford also missed a penalty against Crystal Palace. But Paul Pogba confirmed early on in the summer anyway that he wanted to leave Manchester United. He did say he was seeking for a new challenge, and he publicly admitted that he did want to leave the football club. But yeah, reportedly, Adidas have played a big part in. They played a big part in, Paul Pogba, staying at Manchester United, reportedly. But like I did say, we have got quite a few injuries in the squad. But like I did say, Leicester is going to be a tough encounter. After the after the international break, it's going to be a tough encounter. Leicester have enjoyed a pretty decent start to the season. They've registered 8 points from a possible 12 in their last 4 games. So they've won 2. They've drawn 2, and obviously they've won their last 3 games in all competitions. We've usually got a good Well, we have got a good winning record against Leicester. I think we've won 8 of our last 9 against them at Old Trafford. Obviously, Leicester have only won 1 of their last 20 games against us. And that actually, that victory, actually came back in September 2014. When Leicester, beat us by 5 goals to 3. So it's a game, really, Manchester United should win. But Leicester have enjoyed a pretty decent start to the season. Leicester, have lost a couple of their imperative players in recent years. Lost Harry Maguire this summer. They also, lost Raheem Mahrez last summer to Manchester City. But like I did say, they invested well throughout the course of summer. I think an estimated guess they spent in the region of around £90 million. I don't know what it is fully, but I think it's around £90 million spent on 4 players. They got James Justin in, they got Danny. Not Danny. They got Youri Tillemans in for the club record fee of £40 million. They also got Dennis Pryor in from Sampdoria, and they also got Perez in from Newcastle. So Leicester, did a pretty good investment in the summer. And Leicester is sitting third in the league at the moment. So it's at Old Trafford, and it is going to be pretty tough in count. We did beat them last season twice. It was 2-1 at Old Trafford, 1-0 at the King Power Stadium. And so it's a game really Man United should win, but we have definitely got to get back to winning ways. If we want to have any chances of getting in that top 4. But it is still, even though we've had a bad start to the season, it is still early on in the season. So basically, anything can happen. But like I did say, I hope it works out under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Because obviously, we love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance. And, Solskjaer confirmed early on in the summer, that he was following Alex Ferguson's philosophy. And I did say Solskjaer's our 4th permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era, and I did say, we haven't got the structure to keep sacking managers, because already we've sacked 3 managers, since Alex Ferguson's retirement and that. So I'm hopefully Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure, can work out at Manchester United. I'm very hopeful about that indeed. Solskjaer hasn't really got the experience of a manager, not really to the highest level, and that's also another element of concern. But we just haven't replicated, what we did in that 3-month period, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager, because when he was the interim manager in that 3-month period last season, Solskjaer did well. The results were good, the performances were good, and he was getting the best out of these group of players. But since Solskjaer got the job permanently in March, early on this year, it's just basically seemed to have all gone wrong. To be quite honest with you, there's quite a lot of Man United fans that are criticising Solskjaer's tactics and that, because sometimes he does seem to be getting his tactics wrong. But I just basically want it to work out and that under him. But a hell of a lot of money has been spent at the football club. I think nearly £900 million has been spent at Manchester United in the last 6 years on players. Just over £140 million spent this summer. Just under £400 million was spent under the Jose Mourinho era. Jose Mourinho spent 2.5 years at the football club. It was something like that anyway. Despite the fact that he won the Europa League and League Cup in his first season with Manchester United, it didn't work out under the Jose Mourinho era. Even though he brought a lot of players in and that, when Mourinho came in, we know that he had that proven pedigree, and obviously he was regarded as one of the best managers in the world back in the day and that. But it didn't work out under him, because obviously Mourinho had bad disputes with the board. He had bad disputes with the top players. Reflecting back last summer, the board weren't backing the signings, that he wanted to recommend it to the football club. And these are the reasons, why it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho. And it was obviously, part of the bus football. But obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still inheriting, 9 or 10 of them players, that he brought in, because a couple of them have left now. The players, some of the players that Mourinho brought in. Obviously under Louis Van Gaal, obviously it didn't work out under him, because obviously he didn't have the right sort of philosophy. The football was turgid under Louis Van Gaal era. Even though Louis Van Gaal, brought quite a lot of players into Manchester United. He brought the likes of, there's still some of them here now, but the vast majority of them are left. There's still Martial here from the Van Gaal era. There's Luke Shaw here from the Van Gaal era. Still quite a few players here from the Van Gaal era. But Van Gaal brought a lot of players in. He brought Falcao in. He brought Di Maria in. We paid just under £60 million for him. He's on that list of one of our most expensive signings. He brought Schneiderlin in, he brought Schweinsteiger in, he brought Daley Blind in, he brought Memphis Depay in. Memphis Depay enjoyed a difficult time at Manchester United. He brought Ander Herrera in. Obviously, we do know now that Ander Herrera has left the football club. So yeah, he brought quite a few players in. Did Louis van Gaal, and obviously David Moyes only brought 2 players in. We spent only £67 million under the David Moyes era. He brought Juan Mata in and Fellaini and that. So yeah, a hell of a lot of money has been spent in the football club in the last 6 years. So but it just proves always spending big on players and getting them Galactico players. Doesn't always guarantee success, and that's been proven Manchester United in the last 6 years or so. So yeah, guys, that's mainly everything to update you. So the big part of this video, was to give you the latest news about David De Gea. Now, according to the Guardian, he is close to signing a new contract with the football club. Even though recent reports said he was actually, he was rejecting a contract offer, and he said he was on the risk of losing David De Gea on a free transfer and that. So he does keep changing. Basically, at one point he's saying he's close to signing a new contract, then on some other reports he's saying he's close to leaving the football club and that. But yeah, that's mainly everything to update you with today. So anyway, guys, drop your comments below on the channel. If you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.